Hi everyone, it's Mia from Rose Nails by Marie Slade, and I'm going to use all these gel paints from Sbd London. So number 26, which is the grey, number 8, which is the white, number 7, which is the black, and numbers 12, which is the yellow, and 9, which is the red. And I'm going to put all of these on my palette, and next to each blob of gel paint, I've done a blob of base coat and then like mixed a watered down version of a gel paint in the middle as well. I was showing that I didn't do it with the red, but actually in the end I did. So I've got a really watered down version with the base coat, or like on the left hand side, then a kind of medium viscosity in the middle, and then like just the original gel paint on the end. So I'm only using these gel paints, but I will go in and use various different viscosities of them depending on what I've mixed. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then please write it in the comments down below and I'll try and explain it a bit better. Right, so we are doing Pennywise nails, as you've probably seen from the thumbnail. I actually really loved how these turned out. I've done a couple of different Pennywise nails over the years, not on YouTube, just, you know, on clients and stuff. And I wanted to do an updated version. So on this first nail, I am doing the most rubbish ombre in history, and I don't care, and it does not have to be perfect at this point. All I wanted it to do is have like a kind of dip down where the grey is. Can you see like where the ombre meets, the grey is more kind of dipped down, because that's going to be the bottom of his eye. And this ombre is me being as lazy as possible, getting his skin texture done on like the biggest base without me having to put in a load of individual effort. So again, crappiest ombre in the world, and that is totally okay, because on the Pennywise I'm copying from, so this, I wasn't copying like a set of nails, I had like a Google image on my iPad of Pennywise, and he was definitely much more white towards the bottom, like where his nose and cheek would be, and much more grey, like crackled skin towards the top. So that's what I'm trying to recreate, but I want to keep that grey kind of dip where the bottom of his eye is going to be. So while this is still wet for the second coat, I've got like a pad, like a lint-free pad, and I've scrunched it up, and I'm going to dab it so that it kind of crackles, like, so that his like painted on makeup crackled look. There we go. And I'm kind of trying to create that before it goes into the lamp. This is why it does not have to be perfect. So then that's gone into the lamp. And then this is where the dip comes in handy. So that grey dip that I've done is going to be just under his eye, and where his, like the shadowing of under his eye is going to be. I hope that makes sense. I'm not explaining this very well at all today. I am too tired today. And then I'm going to go in, obviously I've cured the base layer. The Sbd London gel paints all cure in an LED lamp for 60 seconds. So I've given that a full cure, and then I'm going to go in and just do like the main sort of shape of his eye. I'm using my Sbd London, I think I'm using Nail Art 3 brush, and I still don't know which brush this is. I think it's Glitterami or Glitterama or something. I don't know. This detail brush. I would use my Sbd London detail brush, my fine line detailer, but I've wrecked it. I've overused it and I've wrecked it, and I need to order another one, but they've been out of stock for a little while. So while that white gel paint from his sort of main eye shape is still wet, I'm just going in with, like, I've put a tiny little dot of the watered down black and a tiny little dot of the watered down red on my brush at the same time. And I've done like a line underneath into that wet white gel paint to kind of make his eyelid. So with this bit, so now I've cured all that. With this bit, I have dabbed, going dib dab. So with these little shading points, obviously I'm doing the black now, and I did the white above his eye a minute ago. I am putting my brush into the watered down version, so the watered down white and the watered down black, and then I am just like before I go onto the nail with too much product, I'm kind of like just dabbing off some of the colour onto a pad before I go onto the nail. And that's how I'm doing that shading. This is just yellow gel paint, so I'm going to go on and do his, like, this is where I show how stupid I am and how tired I am, the iris. I was going to say the pupil. It's not the pupil. That's the black dot in the middle. I am so tired. And then give that a little bit of a cure. And then I'm going to go round with some of the black gel paint as well, just to give his eye a bit more definition. I do wish I'd have made the iris slightly bigger. That is like my one major regret with this nail. The rest of it turned out really nicely. I was really quite happy with how it turned out. But I do think his iris needed to be bigger. But never mind. You know, we live and we learn. We live and we learn. So yeah, and then this bit I have got, like, I didn't want his pupil to be in a perfect circle because it's not. On the picture I was copying, it looked like, I don't know, it was like weirdly faded. So I got some of my like watered down black and kind of just faded around the edges of that as well. This is the watered down like base coaty black that I'm using for his sort of eyeliner makeup thing. And by the way, the brush that I'm using is a completely random brush that I got it from an art and craft store. It was like 50p, but I really like it. If I've got like quite a big area of colour to do, it's just really good for just filling in a quick area. So I used it for that. And then go back in with my detailer brush just to kind of define the top of his eye, where like his eye meets his eyelid, because in the picture that I'm copying, his head is like down, so his forehead is forward, and then he's like looking up. As you can tell from the thumbnail and from this nail, I am rubbish at noses and mouths. So I'm not going to do his nose and mouth. If you are rubbish at something, or if it's just like, it's just not an area that I'm confident with, then I'm just going to avoid it. If I can do this really well, and if I added a nose and a mouth and all that, I would make it look absolutely rubbish. So I just avoided it that day. I did this purely because I fancied doing the Pennywise set. I wasn't really doing it for YouTube. I just fancied filming it in the end. So this is where we're at. So yeah, it is just the eyeball. So I've gone in with some grey to do his eyebrow, and I'm just going in with a few more bits like for shading. Again, you don't want too much product on your brush when you're shading, so put the product on and then like dab it on a bit of kitchen towel or a bit of lint-free pad or whatever, so that you haven't got like a massive amount of build-up product in your brush. And then I'm going to give him a few little eyelashes, because, you know, Pennywise has got to be like on it. So yeah, I was quite impressed. I quite liked how this whole set looked in the end. I don't know, I can't remember how I finished them, whether I finished them matte or shiny. I think I did both, actually. I think I did matte and then I did some shiny bits. So I'm just going in, so you can't really see very well on camera, but I'm going in with the thinnest little bits of the red gel paint. I'm going to do some lines, like, just to make him look like tired and kind of creepy, like the lines, like bloodshot bits in his eyes. Some of them I do with the watered down base coat red, and then I do like one or two just with the pure red gel paint to give them a bit more definition. And I think they work quite well. It's like, especially when you know, if you see this nail in real life, you can see like the watered down red bloodshots and then the definition of the darker red bloodshots. I hope that makes sense. But you can't really see it very well on camera. Right, so then I'm going to do his little clown makeup thing. I've curved this line around because it's going like up his eyelid, and I want to show that it's going up the eyelid and kind of create that shape. And then after the eyebrow, it's quite straight up. I do like his makeup, although I did realise afterwards because it like comes out of like where his pupil is, it kind of looks like a laser coming out of his eyeball, like pew. But we're going to ignore that. Right, so for the bottom bit here, what I've done is, as well as the red gel paint, I've mixed a tiny little bit of black into it for like right next to his eye, so it's got that shadow in it. And as I go down with his makeup, I'll kind of fade from the darker red that I've created, and then I will fade it like out off of my brush and go into like the brighter red. So it kind of makes like an ombre from darker red to lighter red, just to show the shadow of underneath his eye. Again, I hope that makes sense. I'm not making no sense today. I'm so tired. It's a Sunday. I've had a hell of a few days, which is why this did not get uploaded on Friday like it should have been. I do try and upload every Friday. This did not get uploaded because I was stressed already, and I've had a hell of a couple of days. I won't go into that, but like me trying to get this video to work and to download together, because this is like 20 odd separate smaller videos. Trying to get it to download all together and actually work was just not happening on Friday. So right, this is the darker grey gel paint again. I'm just kind of creating some lines and wrinkles and cracks in his makeup, like kind of where he's like furrowing his brow. And also like a couple on the other side as well. He had a couple on the like picture, like the Google image that I was referring from. And then I'm going to do a couple sort of coming down where his nose would be, because although he doesn't have a nose, I don't want to turn him into Voldemort. Like, he's got a nose there, I'm just not painting it. So I've done like some shading of where his nose would be, just so that we all know that he has a nose. It's just not in the image. Right, so the Pennywise eyeball nail is done, apart from the fact that I haven't top coated it. And then I looked back. Again, these are lots of swear words that aren't allowed on YouTube. These are rubbish ombres deliberately. So look, rubbish ombre. I just wanted like a darker centre and lighter around the outside. Now this can be, yeah, it can look like that. It can look like that. And I've mixed in a bit of darker grey as well, because this is where like the back of Georgie's coat is going to be, and like him holding a balloon. So it just needed to be like kind of dark and kind of grunge and kind of like, I'm not looking for the perfect ombre in this at all, anywhere. As long as the dark was where I needed the dark to be and the light was where I needed the light to be, it's all good. It's all good. So if you are really not a fan of ombres, this is like the best set ever for you. But yeah, I was looking at an image of, that was Matte Topco, by the way. I was looking at an image of a set of Pennywise nails that I did on a client about 2 years ago. I had like one set of Pennywise that I did in 2018 when I first started, and that included a nose and a mouth. And if you go onto my Facebook page, which is linked down below, you will see my 2018 Pennywise with a nose and mouth when I first became a nail tech, and oh my god, it's awful, which is why we no longer include the nose and mouth. And then I did one in like 2020, and it was like on my best friend, and it included like this Georgie nail. So I really wanted to sort of do this one again specifically so that I could kind of compare the two. And you know, it's nice to kind of update a nail that you did a while ago, just so you can kind of see your own progress. So right, this is Georgie's coat and Georgie's balloon. I will admit I still haven't actually seen the movie because I am a wimp and I don't want to see the movie. So I have just mixed in a tiny weeny bit of black in with some yellow gel paint, to make this kind of like darker yellow, grungy kind of yellow, blacky yellow. And then I kind of keep adding black to that for the bits of shading that I just want darker. And I'm just going to put shading to one side of him. Obviously, when you're shading, or if you're adding highlights, you do it to like one side. So obviously, if this was in real life, he would have like one darker side where the shadow was, and then one lighter side maybe where like the sun was hitting or the moon was hitting or maybe a headlamp was hitting. Like, you always have your light from one direction, and then that will cause shadow in the opposite direction. So just try and sort of stick to that if you are shading. So yeah, just adding a little bit of shading to him and to the balloon as well, because I don't want a big red shiny balloon if he's all shaded out like he's in the nighttime, because that makes no sense. And these are just like lines to show where his, you know, his arms are in his coat. But I'm going to use some base coat to kind of fade them out a little bit, so they're not super harsh lines. Get back on the camera, woman. Thank you. And then I've put that in the lamp. And then I have gone in stupidly with like a light grey that I've mixed up out of the white and the grey for the balloon string. And I did it. And then obviously I was like, well, you can't friggin' see that. Like on the, like, because of the background, you couldn't really see it. So then I went in with like a darker grey. And I was like, yeah. And then I'm going to mix, this is all wet still. So I've added like a little bit of white and a little bit of the darker grey. And I think I might even go back in, yeah, with a little bit of black, just to kind of give it a bit more definition before I pop it into the lamp for 60 seconds. So then that's Georgie. So again, with the last two nails, I have done a grey to white ombre, and I have not done them brilliantly. I don't want to do them brilliantly. If I did them perfectly at this stage, they would look really, really rubbish compared to the rest of the set. So I thought, right, I'm going to follow Pennywise's makeup, and the fact that he goes from dark to light, but with like a really kind of crappy crackling kind of ombre look, and I'm going to continue that with the rest of the nails. So on this nail, obviously I've done blood drips. I have skipped past the blood drips and sort of sped it up a bit and kind of skipped past some of it, because I have done blood drips on this channel a million times before. If you've not seen me do blood drips before, where the hell have you been? They are definitely on the channel, like with much more explanation to them. But basically you want to do a dot, but then make sure you kind of round off the dot at the top, to give that sort of really super drippy effect. And then I've gone in with a bit of, it was supposed to be like a lighter red. Obviously I know lighter red makes pink, and it's made of pink. I wish I'd gone in with white on those like highlights. I wish I'd have gone in with white. So let's just pretend that they're white. And then I am just going to go in and just put a few sort of mini blood drips in between as well, just to sort of give it a bit more, so it wasn't so like empty on the background. I felt like it looked a bit empty on the background still. And then this nail, we are going to do the, it's like loser, isn't it? And then like to lover. I'm assuming it's in the movie. I've seen this and I've done this on Pennywise sets previously, and I've seen it on, you know, other text work previously. I'm assuming it's something to do with the movie. If anyone's watched the movie, please comment down below what on earth the lover and loser thing is all about. I'm guessing maybe like someone calls him a loser, and then like he puts blood on it to make it lover or something. I don't know. But anyway, as you can see, I've started with the S because it's the central letter, like the center letter, because it's a 5-letter word. And then that helps me with my spacing for the rest of it. So if I'd have started with the L of loser, I would have 100% done it too big or too small, and I would have run out of nail, or I would have loads of nail left and it would look weird. So I always, if I'm doing writing, I start with the middle letter, because it just makes sense and it helps with my spacing. I still get it a bit wrong sometimes, but it does help me with my spacing. Spacing is something I really, really struggle with. I will think I've got loads of room on a nail and then not have loads of room. So particularly if you're doing this nail on someone with shorter nails, like this is why I have to start with that middle one. So then I've popped that in the lamp for 60 seconds, and then I'm going to do the V of the lover. And then I don't think I show it on the video, but I matte top coat all of these, and then I glossy top coat like the wet bits, so the blood and the eyeball and the balloon and anything that is shiny, and that is it. And I really, really like how these turned out. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Everything that I've used is Sbd London as always, and in the description box below for the Sbd London website and where you can buy all these lovely goodies. And I hope you please like and subscribe for more Halloween sets to come. Thanks guys, bye.